Ever catch yourself, kind of daydreaming at your desk about early retirement, trading in those spreadsheets for like scenic hikes and those never-ending conference calls for campfire
Oh,
stories?
absolutely.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into the finances of Michael, a 52-year-old from Denver. He's got that early retirement dream, but his budget's making it feel a little more like a distant star than a close campsite.
Yeah.
Michael, he's a lot like many of you listening. He's an avid camper, loves photography, he's got all the gear, the passion, and really wants to trade the cityscapes of Denver for, well, some breathtaking panoramas permanently.
Right.
The problem is, his finances are telling a bit of a different story. He makes a good amount, $65,000 a year, but well, after taxes and all those essentials, his dream of retiring early, hitting the Rockies in his RV, it's starting to look a little out of focus.
And this is where, really getting a handle on your finances is so important, especially when you're trying to like balance passions that have a price tag with everything else.
Yeah.
It's something we see a lot. People fall in love with hobbies they love, and those hobbies often come with a cost. The key is finding that, that balance, making it sustainable so those passions don't end up, costing them their financial freedom later.
Yeah, you said it. So let's get into Michael's budget, huh? We've got his income, his expenses, all laid out. And, well, trust me, it's like taking a peek into the financial engine room of someone with those big dreams. But some tough choices to make.
For sure.
For one, rent in Denver is no joke. He's shelling out $1,800 a month.
Wow.
Then there's that car payment, a hefty $550. It's easy to get caught up in the monthly payment when we should really be looking at the long-term cost, right? Those listening right now might even be nodding along, thinking about their own car payment or that streaming service they've been meaning to cancel forever.
It's those recurring expenses that really get you, especially on top of already large fixed costs like rent.
Yeah.
And we can't forget those camping trips, all the photography stuff.
Right.
That's gear, maintenance, maybe even a workshop or two.
Okay, so let's unpack those hobbies for a second. It's not just the cost of a campsite, right? We're talking RV maintenance, which, trust me, that can really add up. And then there's all the photography gear, lenses, tripods, the editing software.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in getting that perfect shot.
Oh, for sure. It's like that saying, a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Right.
And with Michael, it seems like a big chunk of his money might be wondering where it went after those photography shopping sprees.
Yeah.
But really, hobbies are important.
For sure.
They enrich our lives in ways that, a spreadsheet can't really capture.
Absolutely. And no one's saying Michael should, trade his camera for a calculator right now. But
Right.
maybe, just maybe, there's a way for him to still enjoy those hobbies without, saying goodbye to that early retirement dream.
What do you think? Could downsizing his place help free up some cash? I mean, $1,800 in rent is a big chunk of his budget.
Yeah.
You've hit on a good point. When we think about budgeting, we often jump to cutting back on those small things, that daily latte or whatever.
Yeah.
But to really make a difference, sometimes you need to look at those big expenses. And housing is often the biggest one.
Right.
For Michael, even a slightly smaller place, or even thinking about a roommate that could free up a lot of money every month.
You know what? You're right. I mean, sharing your space isn't for everyone, but it could be a chance for Michael to connect with someone with similar interests, maybe even another photography buff or someone who loves the outdoors. Plus, think of the stories.
Yeah.
Imagine that My Roommate the Mountain Man deep dive we could do.
While I'm always up for a good roommate story, maybe let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
The point is, sometimes changing how we think about what we actually need can open up these hidden financial opportunities.
Right.
And hey, maybe Michael finds out he loves minimalist living.
From RV aficionado to minimalist king, there's a headline for you. But seriously, this whole deep dive into Michael's budget is a good reminder for everyone, We've
Right.
all got those areas where we can reevaluate and maybe make some changes.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's about making your spending match your long-term goals.
Exactly. And sometimes that means making, some tough choices. But it's not always about cutting things out entirely. It's about being, mindful and strategic with your money. For example, instead of buying the newest, shiniest photography gear, Michael could look into renting equipment or maybe joining a photography co-op.
Ooh, a photography co-op. Now that's an idea I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
It's like a shared creative space with all the gear you could want without the huge price tag.
Exactly. And you get that sense of community, something that really fits with, Michael's love for camping and being in nature. It's about finding solutions that work for your passions and your wallet. This is why I love these deep dives. You find these like hidden gems, these aha moments that make you see things differently. Thinking outside the box, right? It's not just about cutting back. Sometimes it's about like finding ways to make more money.
Absolutely. We've been focused on Michael's spending, but what about his income?
Yeah.
He's clearly passionate about photography. Imagine if he could turn that into a side hustle, or even a full-time thing eventually.
Right. He could sell prints online, teach workshops, maybe even like lead photography tours in the Rockies. Talk about a dream job.
Exactly. Using your passions and skills to make money that could be huge when you're aiming for something like early retirement.
And speaking of retirement, I know we haven't really dug into that side of Michael's finances, but this talk about planning and budgeting gets me thinking about the bigger picture.
It's easy to get caught up in day-to-day stuff, but having that long-term vision, knowing where you want to be financially, that's so important.
It's like having a financial compass or something, guiding your decisions and keeping you on track, even when something tempting pops up. And sometimes maybe that means getting some help from an expert, right?
Definitely. Talking to a financial advisor can be so helpful, especially with big life changes like retiring early. They can help you figure out your options, make a plan, and make sure you're ready for anything.
So where does this leave us with Michael? We've gone through his budget, talked about ways to save, brainstormed some exciting ways to make extra cash, even pointed him towards financial advisors.
Come down to this. Michael has a dream. He wants to be out there exploring, camera at his side, without the 9-to-5 grind. And his budget might not show that right now, but he's got options, he's got resources, and most importantly, he has the power to make it happen.
That's what it's all about, right? Being in control of your money, making smart choices, and designing a life you love today and in the future. Who knows, maybe we'll see some of Michael's photography out there one day, those beautiful landscapes he's always dreamed of.
And maybe, just maybe, he'll inspire some of our listeners to dust off their own cameras, work on their budgets, and start chasing their own dreams.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive into the world of personal finance. Remember, it's not all about the numbers. It's about knowing what matters to you, making choices that match, and creating a life that's full of experiences, connections, and hey, some financial freedom along the way.